I mean, we could just tell everybody that, we recorded all these episodes and then had time to not have to record, and that's what we did. And now we're recording again.
I mean, yeah, it was just months ago.
Don't have to tell anyone anything.
Yep.
We're just doing this. We don't owe anything to those 12 people
Hi,
that
Kevin.
actually listen to the podcast.
I don't even know Kevin.
We don't owe you anything,
Sorry,
Kevin.
Is this a Kevin I've met, Ken, or is this a different Kevin?
You'd be hard-pressed to have met this Kevin.
Okay.
How hard do I have to press to meet Kevin?
You would have to leave the state.
Oh.
Yeah, like I do that.
Yeah, no, Ohio.
Oh, you have to drive through
That's
Indiana to get
close.
there. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's like a big wall of nope.
Right.
But they do have roller coasters in Ohio, right?
Yeah, Cedar Point,
Yeah.
I believe. They also have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And there's the Origins Game Fair once a year.
There's Canton, Ohio. If you like football.
Oh, that's right, the football one. As I say, they have a lot of things I have no interest in. And apparently a fairly robust ska scene.
Oh.
Which would be much more interesting to
So
me.
they haven't moved out of
football.
the 90s yet.
Anyway.
Hey, I'm Joe.
I'm Dan.
Oh, I'm Ken.
We're the Rewinders Podcast, rewinding movies to see if they hold up. And this time, we played golf in a thunderstorm and got struck by lightning because we were watching Caddyshack.
I gotta say that the lightning effect was primo.
I wish I would have gotten struck by lightning after watching this movie.
After, that'd be like right now. That's a terrible time to get struck by lightning.
Like, yeah, right now, I really would rather get struck by lightning than
ears
have to
would
live
hurt.
with the fact that I watched this movie.
Sometimes you just gotta experience the bad and recognize the bad so that way we as a people can move on.
True. For our video movie watching. Oh wow,
Moving
let's try this again.
Video watchers.
For our movie watching fans, we watched this movie so you don't have to.
Haha.
And for our non-movie watching fans, what? Hi.
I mean, yeah. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
Are you studying English as a second language or something? What's going on? What's
Please don't be listening to us for that. That's such a bad idea.
All right. So has either of you two watched this movie before watching
Nope.
it now?
I had not.
Okay. So growing up in my house, my parents had a thing against Rodney Dangerfield for some reason. Couldn't tell you why. I could.
After watching this,
get it.
I totally understand why people don't like Rodney Dangerfield. Oof.
So, yeah, this movie definitely wouldn't have been allowed in my house growing up. After I moved out, became an adult, I was like, this movie's highly rated by people. Let's give this a go. And I was so bored. Mostly due to the fact that the movie, I remember, has very few in the way of likable characters and very shallow plot and just nothing really much there. Let me see. I wrote down some stuff. I think I got it all. Yep, bored and unlikable characters. That was my pre-roll before I watched the movie. And that's usually enough for me to not ever go back and watch a movie. And yeah.
I know so many people who like this movie or have fond memories of this movie, and I don't, after watching it, don't understand what is wrong with these people. We've watched a lot of movies so far, and I have been a proponent of several bad movies and saying that they are bad movies. This movie is not bad. This movie is awful. I hated every minute of the 1 hour and 37 minutes that I watched of this movie. I'm glad that I hadn't watched it up until this point, and I will never watch it again.
Dan, we got to work on your not giving away the cow with the milk at the front end of the show. We got to
can't help it.
We got to work on.
I'm just
stretching this out.
There's nothing to stretch. This movie's shit.
So I went into this.
We got some stretching we got to do because we have some time we have to fill, and there's going to be a lot of stretching to get there.
It's going to be as long as it needs to be, and that's all.
Okay. I mean, if we're going to be stretching, I'm going to have to dislocate a couple of shoulders.
Okay, good. All right. No golf for you, though.
I went into
That's probably fine.
With the memory of when I was a kid, of course. This came out, and I was too young to even really remember. But I do recall that my father really liked this movie, and he did like Rodney Dangerfield. And so, of course, since my dad likes these things, I'm inclined to think that they are good as well, because I'm a good little kid. I'm a good boy. I like the things, and I agree with my father, because my father is a figure that I look up to when I was a child and stuff like that. So I just viewed it as, this is funny. This is, haha, this is a good movie, because when it came on, he'd watch it. In hindsight, it's probably because of the boobs. But anyway.
We've covered the good part of the movie.
I mean, there's the cast is a pretty good selection of 80s and 90s comedians. So
Ted
I went
Knight.
in expecting it being
I
funny,
love Ted
kinda.
Knight.
Yeah.
Joe, did you get to the end of your
Yeah. That
what
was
you're gonna
it.
say? Okay.
That was it.
Awesome.
I mean, we jumped right on top of that. We did.
Yeah.
As we're kind of
Oh,
steamrolling
sure.
here because
There's so little good to say about this movie. I loved the gopher.
So before we start digging into likes and dislikes,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
It's
the
been
audience
so long.
who has never seen this,
It's been so long. It's also
2
been
weeks.
It's been so
It has
no
not been 2
because 2
weeks.
weeks ago we were doing an episode scene by scene. We're out of that now. We've got that out of our blood. Now we're back to the regular schedule. We just forgot what the regular schedule was. It's been what? That was
God,
7 episodes
the
long.
air quotes on 2 weeks are they're so big. Why are the quotes so big?
Because
Anyway.
it comes from one of my favorite movies, Total Recall, which we've already talked about.
Yet, for the people who haven't seen this movie, I will brush up the thin veneer of a story that this film has. And that is, there are caddies at a country club. And they aren't rich. So they feel like they have to pander to the rich people at the country club. And the country club people put out a scholarship for the caddies, so that they can go to college.
Except for not all the caddies. Only one caddy.
Only one caddy, because the rest of them are poor, and they know they're poor, and they know their place in the world, and they will always be poor.
They can't do without their caddies.
And they're foreigners. Let's not forget that undertone.
Oh, there's
gotta keep
so
poor
many
people poor.
undertones. It's easy to forget which
They gotta
undertone
keep poor
we're
people
talking
poor,
about.
so that way they continue to have
So
caddies.
we follow one particularly annoying caddy through his adventures of being an asshole and hopefully getting a scholarship, and then throwing the scholarship away to hang out with other assholes that are adults.
So he's objectively the second least annoying caddy in this movie. A bulk of them are just terrible people. One of them, who is least annoying than this one, is that small child who tried to pick up that giant bag.
You mean the young girl?
I said child because I wasn't sure if that was the girl or not.
Yeah, that
It
was
made me
her.
laugh.
Yeah,
That's the shining point in this movie.
Not the gopher?
I go for fine. However, I wasn't expecting to watch the fucking Looney Tunes when I put this movie in.
Fair. That's fair. That's very fair.
It's
very
there
fair.
for the kids,
Fair.
apparently.
Kids watching an R-rated film. Okay, hang on, I gotta calm down
It's
here a
the
second.
80s, Dan.
Woo!
We all
Yow.
watched R-rated films when we were kids back then.
Man, I peeked the hell out of that. Let's just turn the volume down. There we go. Okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's flip the
Yeah, that's
the
about
script
it.
and let's start with what's bad that we didn't like about this movie, because I think there's more to say in that category than what we like about this movie. So if we flip them, we can wrap up quick.
okay. Man, this movie just put me in such a bad mood. Like, the longer that I watched it, the more I didn't like it. And if I didn't have to, like, watch it to the end because we have a podcast, I totally would have turned this movie off.
Oh, sure.
Like, so much of the content of this film is just tasteless. Like, I would have rather watched Porky's.
Ooh. Next time.
Huh. I wonder if that one holds up. It seems like it would have the same grade of
If I wanted something
big old
truly,
finger quotes.
yeah, big
I got
old
my
finger
Miss
quotes
Marvel
of
fingers
tasteless,
on.
yeah.
Big old finger quotes.
Yeah, it definitely falls into the, I'll call it smut humor of the 80s, where it's really not a good movie, and the less funny it is, the more that they throw naked ladies in it. This falls into that category of 80s humor film.
And terrible jokes that are set to objectify women, generally.
Yep.
Or
For being racist.
inherently terribly
Just
racist.
or inherently sexist. Oh man,
So many just jokes fall flat these days. It's definitely a movie of its time because the things they are saying are not funny. They're offensive and terrible, and
it's exasperating.
it is. I guess the one joke I did like was right off the cuff, where
It started off well.
what's his
well
name?
enough.
Ty Woods, is that what it is? Is that his name?
Ty.
I think
I
so.
don't
That's
remember what his last name is.
Chevy Chase's character.
Yeah.
Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase says, "You do drugs, Danny?" And Danny says, "Yeah, every day." And he says, "Good." Understated, fun joke. Hooray for bodily autonomy. But that's about it. Like, the beginning and end of fun jokes right there. Everything else is just...
Yeah, pretty much anything after that, the movie just becomes pedantic.
Like, am I supposed to be cheering for
It makes it feel like you're supposed to be cheering for Danny.
the bug-eyed
but
guy?
then
But he's a
Oh.
dick.
Well, Danny...
He mistreats
Danny's a terrible guy.
everybody that's in his life. He has his family at the beginning, and that's okay. We're setting up he comes from a big, poor family, and they respond to each other just fine. Normal.
Except for they only care about Danny.
Yeah, because he's their
he's
great...
the eldest child.
Yeah, and the one who's going to go to college, and I
They
guess...
wake up all the kids. They push the kids out of the way. Be like, "Danny, what are you doing here? Get out of there!" And then he walks in on his sister in the shower or something. "Oh, Danny saw me naked." That's not funny.
No.
That's not like. It's just
embarrassing.
awkward and weird. And she yells over the
What's the
like
word for like
shit like this has to
second
happen in that
party
house all the
embarrassment?
time.
I don't know. But yeah, Ken, you're right. That stuff is just got to be ordinary. And is it funny to people who don't live in a home that has 8 kids? Maybe?
All right.
It's okay.
Look, I grew up with 4 brothers. I was the 5th. And you learn really quickly what a door lock is. And your brothers can learn really quickly how to make the door not lock. However, it's just a game that you play and you figure out how to like, ultimately, if there's something going, like, nobody wants to see their siblings naked.
No.
So the fact that she's being like, instead of just being like, oh, hey, shit, watch, knock at the door, dude. Like, it's an unreasonable reaction that she had. And then they go downstairs and it's all, hey, Danny, do this and do this. And like, no other kids in the house all of a sudden. They're apparently still all upstairs sharing the bathroom or whatever. He made $35 and put, $10 in his thing. And apparently the other ones went to drugs. Yeah, he's college fun, but not really. I don't know.
Yeah. It doesn't matter because it's all forgettable. Like
it really is.
The first 20 minutes are just exposition, introducing you to characters, which is kind of the normal thing to do. But in this case, it's just so forgettable.
Unnecessary. It's not related to the plot at all, apart from the fact that it introduces Danny as trying to get into like a scholarship type thing because his family's forcing him. But if you're going to exposition it, you might as well just exposition it alongside with Ty on the green, where like he actually has some sort of relationship with this golfer guy who might care about him. Probably not. He doesn't seem to care about anyone.
He's so nihilistic and just like whatever. Why do we care about him either? There's no reason to, other than he's the son of a guy who built the what are those places called again? Country club, and he hates the country club, but he keeps going there because he has like a lifetime membership. Okay,
you gotta golf somewhere.
Yeah.
Do you though? Do you have to golf at all?
I don't know. I'll ask my clubs that later. They haven't seen the green in a while. I do enjoy golfing, and Danny's what do you call that? A stroke? It sounds disgusting, but golf swing. His golf swing, it looks very good.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Whereas everyone else in this movie either doesn't golf or they purposely throw on just the weirdest swing that they could.
You're thinking of Rodney Dangerfield there. His swings are complete and utter garbage.
Like, there's certain things where, like, yeah, I think I'm supposed to be cheering for Dangerfield in this movie. Like, when he turns on the radio, they're like, yeah, okay, cool. That's, I'll put on my phone and throw that into the, put some music on while we're driving around the links. Because we use, golf carts, because, ha ha ha. But, it's, so, like, that's about as relatable as he got. Otherwise, he was just insulting everyone he talked to and then giving them money.
It's because he's new money. He isn't old money like the people at the country club.
Sure.
New money needs to be made fun of and stuff and ridiculed and shown how they're not good people. Although, except his character is not a good person either. He's an ass.
Compared to the judge, I guess maybe he is a better person because he tips more than a quarter.
Okay, that's true, yes.
And that's all I got.
That's about it.
Dangerfield's character is definitely fast and loose with his wallet.
Right. Like, that's all he's got going for him. Like, I guess Nouveau Rich, sure, they at least try to spread some of the wealth out a little bit, but I think it's more of a status thing, like, look at me. Ego. Terrible people. Just awful. Just the worst people.
Yeah, and there's, to me, only one character that's redeemable in this movie that's I care about, and that's Maggie. That's it.
Okay.
The rest of the characters I don't care about.
How redeemable is her accent?
Depends on the scene.
Yeah.
I really needed her to have just the longest dialogue so I could figure out whether or not she was supposed to have an Irish accent or not.
Scottish.
Yes,
That's
she
supposed
is
to be Scottish.
It was supposed to be Scottish.
Whatever.
Yeah. Because golf is a Scotsman's game.
Oh, right. Yeah, because the guy in the beginning with the Scottish hat, and he hires Bill Murray, another terrible character in this movie, who just spends his entire time looking at women and making disgusting comments.
And feigning whether or not he may or may not be retarded. But
Honestly,
that's
the
a whole
first
nother
time I
thing.
watched this movie, that Bill Murray character is what stood out the most. Just being annoying, terrible, gross, and just not fun to watch. Apart from when he was a caddy. Actually, being a caddy in the thunderstorm, having a good time, actually like shooting a legitimately low score game, and that's because, weather and wind and whatnot, but
Outside of that, though, that character to me feels like an extra arm grafted onto the movie, where it's like, well,
yes.
Yeah.
this
Why
wasn't.
is he here?
It doesn't feel
Why
like
do
he was
I
originally part of the script, but then maybe they got Bill
literally
Murray,
just
and they were like,
Bill
"Oh,
Murray
we've got Bill Murray,
vamping
so
on stage, and that's
Right.
it.
yeah."
Well, this was directed by
Harold
Egon,
Harold
Ramis.
right?
Ramis, yeah.
Which, yeah, I guess you could probably get Bill Murray
Directorial
from
debut?
it.
If I remember correctly.
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Can we say anything positive about the direction of this movie?
No.
Directing.
What
And
direction?
It's pretty humdrum in the way of shooting a movie.
Yeah, but a director doesn't call the shots. That's a cinematographer.
Joe, what do I know about what really?
Yeah.
What does a director do?
The director tells the actors when they're doing it right or wrong, and massages their performance to get it in a fashion that they so desire. And they also help just overall frame the whole movie, basically. But if you're looking for who calls out, we're going to shoot low and be at this angle and have this style of lens, that's the DP, director of photography, and the cinematographer.
There was
Okay.
yeah.
Well, there we go. I learned something. Something positive come from this.
Yep. Caddyshack was the first film that Ramis directed. He also wrote.
Oh man.
That being said, he had Animal House under his belt before he did Caddyshack. So what happened?
I don't know. He was also
I'm wondering if that movie holds up as well, because I don't remember enjoying that movie the first time. Have I even watched that movie? These are the kind of movies I just generally avoid and like altogether, just because. Okay, great. You put a naked lady in your movie, got it. Woohoo!
Well, Animal House is usually liked because of Jim Belushi and his performance, but I'm trying to remember, and it's like because I don't.
I watched it once back in high school. I don't remember watching it because I didn't really pay that much attention.
Yeah,
I am talking from my assumptions of Animal House, but it follows the same kind of. I feel like it's the same kind of movie of this. I could actually do. It's objectively the same quality across the board. Animal House, Ferris Bueller's, just following people that I hate and I don't care about, and trying to make me care about somebody, and it's just. I just don't care. And so most of the time when it's one of those kind of movies, college frat boys or golf, or, I accidentally watch Ferris Bueller. It's just, I avoid those movies altogether. I don't like them. They're not interesting to me, and they just make me angry.
out of all those, I do think that Ferris Bueller's has a sense of fun about it, but I understand what you're saying. He's not a likable character when you look at him. He just abuses his stature that in his high school society that he has gained.
And
but
whereas
anyway.
Rooney is probably overstepping his bounds, he's also in the right a lot more than Ferris Bueller is.
Well, except for breaking and entering.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Maybe overstepping some bounds right there. But by that time, he had already, I don't know. We're not talking about Ferris Bueller,
No.
thank goodness. Of course, I'd
And-
much rather watch Ferris Bueller than this movie.
in this movie, everything kind of suddenly becomes at a peak at a golf tournament, and wow, is that boring. It's not interesting.
Are you saying golf tournament or an impromptu illegal golf?
It's basically a tournament.
Golf
bet.
It's a golf bet, but it doesn't matter how much money they keep yelling at each other. It's still not interesting.
No, it's not.
And having Ty have like, oh, now suddenly I don't believe in myself, so I suck at golf, and we can't outright just win. It's like, okay, so what?
It's such a weird turn.
It's just like, it doesn't change anything other than, oh no, the rich people will be out money and the other rich people will be laughing. And the way that it ends puts some money in Danny's pocket for college, probably pays his whole college off with that. But they don't
for we don't really know if Danny got the money because it would have went to Rodney Dangerfield. And he said it'd make it worth your while, but worth your while to these rich fuckers is nothing.
And that's the thing is, I think the
probably got
Rodney
like
Dangerfield
$10 out of
character
this.
would just sneeze out the money to put Danny through college, only
like,
to
here's the
rub it
deal.
in the face of those other rich people.
When the judge's, was it granddaughter or whatever she was, went to Chevy Chase's house, and she found a bunch of uncashed checks for $70,000, like, if you're just going to have that money sitting there on a stand, why not give it to Danny, the guy you're like, oh, I wish I could help you with college. But no, these people are just all words and no action.
That, and they're all unlikable people.
Yeah.
That's it. Even Danny, unlikable. Maybe
Generally speaking, unlikable, yeah.
passing moments of being okay, but being in front of his girlfriend whom he just, got it on with, and then just gawking over another woman right in front of her. What a fucking asshole.
Who's not exactly the most attractive. Very Aryan. Very Aryan. But other than that...
She's fine.
And that's
She's plenty attractive enough. However, you got yourself a girl.
yeah.
I think we've already covered the best character in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't have any problems with Maggie as far as I remember, apart from the fact that she didn't just drop him right there like a bad habit.
As she should have.
Absolutely.
And makes excuses for him at the end of the movie and says, "Oh, I know, that's just the way you are."
I wonder.
And it's like, come on.
I wonder.
What are you wondering,
Oh,
man?
Bechdel test. Let's see.
Oh, no. This movie
because
cannot
there's-
pass.
Does this movie have two named women?
No.
Maggie and Lori. What was the blonde's name that we
Lacey.
just spoke about?
Lacey, but they never talk.
They never talk. And the closest you might be able to get is like a passing hello from one of the older ladies.
And
However-
two older ladies may
No.
discuss something like, "Oh, that's the tea that fell from the second floor," and that's about it.
That
That
wouldn't
shouldn't
count.
cause them to pass the Bechdel test.
No. I'm going to retroactively, even if it does, just call that bunk and dismiss that as a bad result, because it does not. There's no sense of feminism in this movie
cannot
whatsoever.
find an entry on the Bechdel test website for Caddyshack.
Because they didn't even bother.
Nope.
They're like,
They
why?
did one for Caddyshack too, and it failed.
Well, imagine
surprise.
that.
There's a second movie.
There's a
Yeah.
second movie. Don't even waste your time.
And
Holy fuck!
yeah,
People enjoy this movie enough to have them make a second one.
and it ain't good. Anyway. Yeah, we said enough about what's didn't work for us in this movie. What did work? Or was
Music.
The music
It starts off with
The
a
music, yeah, starts
wonderful
off with-
vocal.
Kenny Loggins.
And yeah,
Yeah.
it's just some solid
Ends with-
music throughout, although
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
alright,
alright.
or whatever that song is.
yeah, I love that song. And then the rest of it is, I don't know. Actually, come to think of it, that's the only good song in this movie, isn't it? There's
Yeah.
not
I
really
think
much
it's
else
really the only
memorable
song
from
in
it.
the movie. The rest of it's just kind of background music filler, instrumentals, nothing else.
Um,
Oh
let's
wait, what
see.
did Rodney have playing on
it was
on the radio out of his golf bag? It was a rock song.
yeah, it was Journey.
Oh, right.
Journey, yes.
Yeah, whatever. But
Yep,
anyway,
pretty
like
much.
Rodney Dangerfield wasn't funny.
He's never
He
funny.
may have had slight moments, but he wasn't funny. Chevy Chase wasn't funny. He had slight little tiny things that were okay.
But
But
that's
that
what
was
he's
it.
like.
Bill-
That's what he's known for. Is the like, hey, I'm a well-known comedian, and I actually don't do jokes. I just make small quips, and everybody laughs because I'm fucking Chevy Chase.
Yeah,
And make disgusting tongue waggles at women as they walk by.
yeah. He was
Ugh,
okay in the role,
worst.
but it wasn't funny overall.
No, he had a couple of decent off the cuff quips, but for the most part, nah, not really. There's not really much in the way of actual humor in this movie. A couple of pratfalls, which,
I'm trying to think of what my favorite bit is from the movie, and it's like, was it talking through the lamp on the desk, and then he like shoves it off to the side, and that was one of
That was
the
kinda
candy
funny.
bar, the candy bar in the pool is the funniest thing. That's it.
Is it? I
I
don't
was
know. That was really
already
kinda
over the
just-
movie by that point.
I don't know if that was funny. It
I'm
was
saying
so overblown.
that was the funniest thing in the movie.
I think the funniest thing in the movie was the goddamn gopher, but I don't know. I gotta think.
Oh
of
no,
puppets,
I laughed
guess.
the hardest at the kid with the,
Hey, I love puppets, but
especially dancing gopher puppets. They were smart to start off with the dancing gopher puppet. Do you think Indiana Jones and Crystal Skull would have been better with the dancing gopher puppet instead of CGI gopher?
Maybe.
non-dancing.
Otherwise, I've already covered my favorite funny part, which is the kid trying to pick up the giant golf bag.
Gotcha.
And that was more of a passing laugh than like straight up
haha.
hilarity,
Mhm.
but at
Yeah.
least I could feel good about laughing about that.
I love Ted Knight overacting in this film.
I
don't- Ted
did
Knight.
not know Ted Knight's the owner of
Judge.
a golf club or
The judge.
Yeah.
Okay.
judge. What's his shit?
He just
the meme of Ted Knight saying, "Well, we're waiting." I did not know that came from Caddyshack, so I guess that's a thing that I could say I like.
sure.
Retroactively, I'm offended that you've used that meme with me.
I've never used it with
How
you.
dare you?
Maybe it was me. I don't know.
You've put it in our chat before.
Somebody did. Well, it's because his face is so good at being all wacky and bendy. But, I mean, if outside of him doing his overacting as Ted Knight, being Ted Knight, I mean, like, that character is just meh. But I like him acting so big. It just makes you feel like you can't take the movie seriously, which you can't do anyway, because,
Well, it's supposed to be a comedy, like many of these movies we watched before. Like, remember watching
You guys
want to
know what
Stripes?
what the tagline for this movie is?
please watch to the end.
At last, a comedy that bites. And the first movie poster is a pair of women's lips caressing a golf ball.
Has nothing to do with the film whatsoever. That tagline means nothing except that the gopher bit, that land keeper.
I mean, this movie
for
movie
flipping-
bites,
for the-
like, not in a good way.
He flipped the gopher off. What do you expect the gopher to do? Yeah, I changed my mind. The gopher's the only one I'm cheering for. I want to wreak havoc. My Project Mayhem is releasing a bunch of gophers on golf courses Mind you, I'd have to do some research into like shitty golf course owners, so I'd know I'm not like fucking with some mom and pop store that deserve to have a decent golf course going for them. Which is just I'm too tired to do any of that, so I'm not going to. But if I were, there you go. There's my plan.
All right.
I know. I went into this movie expecting nothing, and I was disappointed.
So I'm going to assume that that's... well, your opinion hasn't changed because you didn't have an opinion before this, so...
Nope. Didn't have an opinion. So actually, my opinion actually did change. It went from nothing to bad.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I just kind of assumed it was funny and it was good because my father liked it. And then watching it again, it reminds me that, yeah, there are plenty times where my dad was not correct in things and that I shouldn't always follow his lead. It's not funny. It's really boring and gross. It's just there's no point.
It's
yeah, but it's not even an entertaining
movie.
dudes movie. I've seen entertaining dudes movies.
It's supposed to tickle the lizard brain that is the male human mind. It didn't. I guess I am not the right demographic for this movie.
You can say that I'm just not the right demographic for this movie, but really, given how the times have changed, this shouldn't be a movie for anybody. We really shouldn't be keeping on perpetuating this kind of stereotypes, these kind of sexual objectifications. We shouldn't keep this movie even fucking on the shelf. Or maybe we should, just so we can go back and look back at this movie and be like, wow, we were terrible people back then. Good for us for coming this far. Hopefully we don't fall back.
Well, it's in process, so...
Yeah.
Wah, wah. Anyway, so I'm going to take a wild guess here, and everyone's in agreement this doesn't stand up.
This is the worst movie we've reviewed.
Correct. And we reviewed Escape from LA. Guys, I would rather watch this. I would rather rewatch that than have to watch this again.
York.
Oh yeah. But you know what? Both those movies are so bad that I can't remember their titles. This movie is so awful that I'm never going to forget how bad Caddyshack is.
Look, I hated Stand By Me. I believe I said in that episode I'd never go back and watch it. I still stand by that, but if somebody were to hold up Stand By Me and this movie, I'd pick Stand By Me. And then walk out of the room because I'm not going to waste my time.
Yep. I don't even think this, you couldn't remake this movie. Even.
That is a good challenge. I'd take you up on that. I think you can make a good, funny golf movie about caddies at a country club getting one over on the rich people.
Yeah.
So many things you can do, but this movie just kind of...
I mean, the remake, the bar is so low that, anything that you did to remake this movie not like Caddyshack would immediately make the movie better than Caddyshack.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. The premise that Joe just outlined is actually a fairly good premise. However, this movie doesn't do it well. And
nope.
Do just a couple of tweaks real quick, and you got yourself something that would at least be not offensive.
There is a movie out there that is that. That's where I'll say, air quote, the poor people of a fancy area get one over on the rich, stuffy people on the area, and it's actually funny. That movie is One Crazy Summer. If you haven't seen it, it ends in a regatta.
Like a boat race?
Oh my.
And the 80s loved a good regatta.
The 80s.
I want to do one crazy summer for this podcast, but I have to find it streaming from someplace first. It's like you can't find if I'd probably say that and someone will be like, well, it's right here. And I'll be like, God damn it. Anyway. Well, before we start talking about another movie, that was us.
Tearing up a golf course like a gopher.
Farting on a golf course, leaving Dookie in a pool, just like the movie Caddyshack. If you can please rate, review, comment, subscribe, maybe listen to another episode, because this one...
Please! This episode is so
This
bad!
one was just a bad movie.
I mean, I could point you back to the other 7 episodes
Those
that we just
Jurassic
did,
Park ones were so good.
Before this episode.
But if you don't like extremely long podcasts, there's also shorter ones too. So
Fair.
All
I'm not going to
flavors.
deny that.
But then come back in 2 weeks when we will watch and talk about the movie Labyrinth. Right? That's what we're doing?
That's what we agreed to.
That's what we discussed.
Correct. I had a panic attack.
I will try to not poop all over this movie. I will try. I'm making a promise right now that I'm not gonna do it, guys. I'm losing my faith in myself right now.
And it'll be better than Caddyshack.
It will be better than Caddyshack. It'll be better than Caddyshack.
So come back in 2 weeks when we rewind again.